Hey, y'all, I'm Ashley.
And I'm Kevin. Welcome to Hope Ignited. We got a good one today.
It was a Super Bowl size. It was our love language.
I've never seen her come alive more in an interview. She was so excited. I was excited too. But Ashley was. I couldn't shut you up.
I know. I was spitting some mad game.
She
I just
was
got super
ready
excited
for this one.
And look, here's the thing. Like, we've had football episodes before, but I don't think what we've ever had, and what I want to just preview this episode with, was the back and forth banter of somebody who is willing to put me in my place, willing to put you in your place, because he was there. He's like
Garrett.
Insane.
Garrett, a lot of times we'll ask people, is there anything you don't want to talk about? We're not trying to TMZ anyone here.
Yeah.
Get him
on the first date.
Yeah, get him in trouble or anything.
Yeah.
But we asked him, is there anything? And he goes, no, I'm willing to talk about anything. He proved it. Oh my goodness. If you guys are sports fans like we are, you are going to flip out at the candor with which he answered all this.
He didn't hold back on anything. And for those that maybe aren't familiar, let me just tell you quickly a little bit about our guest, Garrett Gilbert. So you may know Garrett if you're a high school Texas football fan, best football in the world, right? Says someone from Louisiana. But he was a legend in Texas high school football. He then went on to be very well known for his time at UT, for all of our Longhorn fans that admit it. And then, of course, at SMU. And then he had a really big stint in the NFL. He played for several teams, and it's not a knock to him because Garrett was well respected in the NFL. You know, coaches and players and owners and GMs really felt like they weren't taking a risk with Garrett, but that they were bringing on somebody who, was going to be a hard worker, who was going to be resilient. I think a lot of what we'll talk about in the episode today is how you can get down and you can just really get in the trenches when it comes to being traded and being cut. And Garrett, it's really cool to hear him talk about his mental state during that, Yeah,
and I don't have this stat exactly nailed down, but he said, correct me if I'm wrong, that he was the number 2 most cut quarterback in NFL history.
Yeah, and it's like a badge of honor for him.
I mean, it is. Yeah. But he played for 11 teams, essentially, if I heard that correctly. So think about that for a second. 11 teams. I mean, you've been, at this point now, you're in a third of all the teams in the NFL, so you've seen everyone's playbook.
Yeah.
You had to memorize it. I mean, basically, quarterbacks they have to have the entire playbook at least figured out.
Yeah.
You can't have question marks about stuff.
Well, I mean, a lot of what you read about Garrett is that he was well known for not needing a lot of reps before he went in. And he's going to talk about being the go-to guy when Dak Prescott breaks his ankle and who you going to call?
Backing up Tom Brady in the Super Bowl.
Oh my gosh. And here's the thing for my Tom Brady, Alex Earl fans, what was Tom Brady really like? He talks about that, which was cool to hear that, because not only are you playing as a second or a third string quarterback, you're playing under Tom Brady. You want to talk
as
about
a young guy.
Cool intel that he's going to tell us, and then the gates.
Oh yeah,
we get into all the gates. If you want to know about Spygate, if you want to know about Deflategate, if you want to know about Bountygate, Garrett
from someone who was in that world at the time. So yeah, we there's going to be a lot. We just kind of, as we're going through an episode, a lot of times we'll hear things and we go, oh, that's going to make a really interesting Instagram reel or something.
We're going to talk about that.
This one is loaded with clips.
Yes.
So you probably came to the episode from a clip and want to hear more. And so here's what we're going to be laying it all out.
I think you got I'm already sweating again because I'm super excited to talk about it. Let's go ahead and dive right into our episode with Garrett Gilbert. We are so excited. We have a Super Bowl sized episode today.
So as you know, we tape these and then there's a little bit of a delay on it. So we don't know who's going to win the Super Bowl at this point.
Is anybody going to watch it?
Maybe.
Respectfully.
Yeah, a few. So who you got? Let's lock it in now, right? I think that's kind of cool. Who you got?
Seahawks, but I don't care at all.
Yeah, I kind of feel so. I'm going to go Seahawks too, I guess.
Nobody likes the Patriots.
It's kind of hard. Right?
I mean, clearly the Hall of Fame voting committee doesn't like the Patriots, so we'll jump into that today. But I tell you what, this guest has been a long time coming. He's had a baby since the last time that we invited him to be a guest on this show, so lots to celebrate today. Help us welcome to the Hope Ignited studio, Garrett Gilbert.
Thank you.
Garrett Gilbert.
We're so happy you're here.
Well, thank you very much. I'm glad we finally got to make it work. It's like you said, it's been a little bit since we met at the NBCF golf tournament.
I
So,
know.
really glad we could finally do it.
How'd you play that day?
Well, I did not play great, but I hit one very timely good shot.
Oh, that's good.
That managed to win me an e-bike.
Oh,
For
yeah.
being the closest to the
Well,
pin.
I was going to bring up the e-bike, but since we're starting out strong here, I want to know if you've wrecked it yet.
I'm a little bit of a scaredy cat, I guess. I'm very timid when it comes to riding the bike.
That's fair. Your
that thing
kids are
will scoot.
watching.
Yeah, well, and I think, everyone says it's as easy as riding a bike, but I have found that I haven't ridden a bike in quite a while, and so getting back on it is actually not quite that
balance
easy.
is a little sketchy.
Yeah, I'm not quite the same.
We could
as
give
I
him some
was in
training
my
wheels.
Do you have a helmet?
Younger days. No, I do not have a helmet.
Would you like a helmet?
All I have is a Disney princess helmet that my daughter uses, but
Why don't you use one of your old NFL
I don't understand. Yeah. And
Those are some
which team
options.
would you pick if you could only have one team helmet?
So I was actually discussing this just the other day. Teams are not quite so friendly when it comes to giving that stuff away after the season. You got to buy it. And so I don't actually have as many teams as I played on, which is, badge of honor, but also shows how many times I got cut. I don't have all that many helmets. I have a ton of jerseys, but I only have like 3 helmets. So I have a Patriots throwback helmet, speaking of the Patriots.
That's cool.
I have a Washington football team helmet because they were the Washington
Yes.
football team the one year I played for them. And then I think I have a Panthers helmet, and that's it.
Wow.
I guess I would probably wear the Patriots helmet just
Yeah,
because the
that's
throwback
pretty cool.
helmets are the coolest.
That's fair.
So speaking of that, are you gonna say Patriots on your Super Bowl
Frankly,
selection?
You don't care.
No, I don't. I want a good game. In fact, I guess if I had to choose, like I think I'm probably rooting for Sam Darnold.
Okay.
I mean, not necessarily the Seahawks, but I think
Yeah.
I'm rooting for Sam Darnold.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's the easy
really,
guy to root for.
I do
Yes.
feel like I'm hearing a lot of people just say, like, are you Darnold or May? Like, it's just like people care about the leaders of the team and less about the teams themselves. Do you watch for the commercials, though? Because I am a commercial person.
Yes and no. I feel like I have this sort of nostalgic memory of Super Bowl commercials when I was a kid. And then I don't know if I appreciate them quite so much anymore, but I still watch them because you never know when you're going to miss a good Budweiser commercial. Like,
Have you seen the Budweiser one for this year?
I haven't watched it yet.
I'm not going to spoil anything for anybody, but it's on the internet. It's so good.
Does it have the Clydesdales?
No. Oh, yes, it does.
It does?
It does. Yeah.
Okay.
And spoiler, there is a bald eagle in it.
A bald
wow.
eagle.
Bald
So
eagle.
they went all out, huh?
It's giving
And,
Wild Robot, which you can understand as a parent. Like, it's such a good. It's going to be the commercial this
Okay.
year. I'm telling you guys. Or the Lay's
Producer
commercial.
Doug and I went to, back when the Texas Rangers were in the World Series in 2011, we went up to St. Louis and they had the Clydesdale horses. And I'm telling you, you have no idea how big those horses are until you see them in real life. They are gigantic. That's my favorite. I don't. Do you have a favorite horse?
Clydesdales for sure, right?
Mr. Ed.
It's got to be right.
I'm
Clydesdale?
a huge Mr. Ed.
I figured you like the little tiny horses probably because you can
Lil
relate to that.
Sebastian.
It's one you
Lil-
can ride on.
Lil Sebastian
That's a
is
good
my
choice.
favorite. As a proud board member of the Frisco Parks and Rec board, yeah, I like Lil Sebastian. But speaking of being like bigger in person, you're taller in person. How tall are you?
Just the shoes. Close to 6'4".
6'4".
yeah.
Wow, is that tall for a quarterback? I'm a Drew Brees fan, so understand like that's
Yeah, well,
gigantic
he
to
is certainly
me.
not
No,
tall
that's
for a quarterback.
gigantic to me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's on the taller side. I mean, there were like I said, I was on a lot of teams and I was usually like the second biggest guy in our quarterback
Do
room.
quarterbacks exaggerate their height on purpose?
Some do, yeah, for sure.
Interesting.
Okay, question for you.
Some
Let's just say that Victor Wembanyama actually had a really great arm. Would that be a massive advantage to be 7.5 feet tall?
I mean,
the leverage.
Look at guys like all the time. Like
Cracked in half.
you look at guys all the time. He would get cracked in half. But like, I mean, now, however tall you are, unless you're like Cam Newton, like you're not going to be able to see over all of them.
Yeah.
And if you were literally an entire foot taller than that,
Yeah.
I feel like that would be a huge advantage.
What do
Yeah.
you think about Scam Newton?
Well, I'll tell you what. Cam was one of my favorite teammates I ever had.
Did he dress you today, or?
No, actually, I don't know what that says about my attire.
I think you look
he and I don't
great.
dress,
You look great.
very similar. But I loved my time in Carolina, and a lot of that was due to Cam. He has an incredibly infectious personality, and I understand that you're an LSU fan, and I know that that's hard. But and a Saints fan, and he was in the Saints division forever.
Yeah.
So
Hence why I called him the correct name.
I know. But I really enjoyed my time there.
How do you think about him in the broadcast? Like, do you like him on TV?
No comment.
Okay, that's fair. You
no
can drink
comment.
every time you don't want to answer. I think that how he dresses is cool. It's memorable. I mean, like, we can't all have this type of fashion sense. Not that.
Yeah.
But I do think that sometimes you overcompensate.
So
I'm just going to say that Drew Brees dresses very boring when he's in the booth, and it works.
Speaking of his dress, we used to, like, every year I heard Cam went all out for Christmas.
Like a party?
No, like gifts for the quarterback room.
Oh.
And so I wanted to match and reciprocate, and I thought, what better way than to get him a hat?
Stop.
Until I started looking into how much exactly those Kemosabe hats cost, and my guess is he goes for the way even higher end. So he ended up.
You don't go to Target.
No, he ended up with a cigar case instead.
Well,
yeah, that's wise.
Let's
That's
just
wise.
say Cam Newton could afford to buy all of his helmets when he left
Yes,
his teams.
that is true.
No, I get that. So let's talk about the early days. You come from a football family.
Yes, ma'am, I sure do.
Was it like projected on you? Like, you will play football, you need to play football?
No, it was not. I not to get like too far into like youth sports today, but like I played football during football season, and I played basketball during basketball season and baseball, and we didn't pick up the football again until the fall. But I always knew that I wanted to. I mean, my first memories from way back when I was 3-4 years old are my dad finished with the Chargers, and they used to blow a cannon off every time they scored, and it scared me. I didn't like going to the games. So make my mom or somebody stay home with me, and my first memories are throwing the ball up to myself in the living room, catching it, and crashing into the blinds, and just over and over and over again. And so that's like, so no, it was not pushed onto me, but there was never really, like, I wasn't going to do anything else. Like, from the time I was a little kid, if that it did. I was obviously incredibly blessed and fortunate, but like, that was all I wanted to do.
You mentioned youth sports. I want to dive into that. Well, our kids are around the same age. Mine are in club sports. It's the hardest and most expensive habit they've ever had. Do you think, I will say, for example, there is a local football league here in Dallas that typically was just football during the fall. They have now expanded to year-round. And so I'm having to make a decision for my kids who are very young. If he's going to be the best of the best, he needs to play football year-round, because when you're 5, you're behind, right, when it comes to North Texas sports. I'll just say that. But this push to now go year-round with one sport, what are your thoughts on that?
It's really hard. I think it's I'm going to talk out of both sides of my mouth here a little bit. It's from my personal experience, I think I gained so much in terms of hand-eye coordination from playing baseball that I wouldn't have gathered on the football field, in terms of footwork playing basketball that I wouldn't have gathered. And then as you get older, I mean, even if you're only playing football, like, I was not the fastest or anything ever. Like but like.
What was your 40?
At my pro day at SMU, I ran a 4.9. So at least I got under 5, which, but like, I ran track because, there's so much that you can do training for running that you just don't get on the football field. I think there's a lot to be said about being able to do different things. And by the way, most of the kids that were the best football players when we were 7 were not the best football players when we were 12. And they may have been the best basketball players or the best baseball players by then. So why would you make yourself or force yourself into one thing? However, you're right, you do get behind because everybody else is doing it. And I truly do think, so I have the book Outliers.
Oh, yeah.
The rule of 10,000 hours. But like, I truly think the biggest thing that kids take away from youth sports, again, the practice is great and all that sort of stuff, but like the one that always sticks with me is in hockey, all the good hockey players are the oldest kids in their grade, right? So I think the cutoff date in Canada for hockey is like February. So all the kids born in February and March that are 10, 11 months older than everybody else, they're the ones that are having success because they, when you're 5 years old, being 10, 11 months older is a huge deal. And so they this confidence breeds within them. For playing hockey because they were the oldest. And so I think that's the biggest thing is creating confidence in kids to do what they're good at.
That's super good. Will your kids play sports?
My daughter plays soccer, and basketball, which the 5U basketball games are a sight to behold.
Nothing but traveling.
We have a lot of fun with it.
You're like,
she loves it.
Dribble.
We are very much working on the aggression.
Like to be more aggressive or less aggressive?
That's hard for her.
Yeah.
To be aggressive. She just, she wants the ball out of her hand. She wants to share. She has a hard time taking the ball away from anybody.
Yeah.
So she loves it, but we just got to get a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah. That's funny. I'm so fascinated by I've heard, maybe you would agree or disagree with this, but I've always heard that the most difficult position in any sport is NFL quarterback. First of all, do you agree with that? Or
I mean, I'm biased, but yes, I do. I think it just takes so much, and that you are asked to do so much on a given going into any given game that to be successful as a quarterback. Number one, I do think that all quarterbacks, when the team wins, they get far too much credit, and when they lose, obviously, majority of the time they get far too much blame. I mean, there's situations where the credit and the blame are both deserved, but for the most part, I do think that it is the most challenging in terms of what it demands from you physically and what it demands from you mentally, and the combination of being able to put those two things together to be successful is very difficult. And so when I'm more and more blown away watching guys that watching guys like Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen who play the game so differently than I did, and how they're able to put it all together, and then young guys like Drake May and Sam Darnold's not really young anymore, but watching them play the position and how well they learn the NFL game so quickly.
Who that you played with or even against married those two things together the best?
Well, Tom Brady, for one. I think he's probably a pretty good example of that. I mean, obviously, physically, he wasn't doing a ton, but he was so incredibly accurate, and his mental capacity made up for maybe the lack of ability
was he playing
to run
faster?
Anywhere. Well,
Mentally?
his brain was moving faster. I mean, he every time he broke the huddle, it was like he knew exactly where he was going to go with the football. So then at that point, it's like you're just playing catch, on the practice field. Like, doesn't matter what the defense is doing because I'm so well prepared. All kinds of movement, pre-snap, whatever it is. I know exactly where Julian Edelman's going to be open. I know exactly where Rob Gronkowski's going to be open over the middle of the field. I was so impressed watching the guys that I grew up, the Peyton Mannings, the Tom Bradys, the Drew Breeses, the Aaron Rodgerses of the world, that, the way they played the game, mentally. Whereas today you watch Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, they're obviously all very smart because you have to be to play, but they play the game way more physically than any of those other guys did, and that's how football's evolving. I mean, Caleb Williams as a young, our guy Tyler Shuck is a little bit more of the traditional style quarterback, and he had a lot of success this year. So it's fun to watch him. But the game has changed so much. Very long-winded way of answering your question, but I am super impressed watching those guys and just how different it is and how much football has changed.
Where do you fall on the greatest quarterback of all time conversation? Obviously, I love all of the media attention and the commercials, where Peyton Manning's oh, another one of your records has been broken, and he's like, what did Drew do now? What is your take on I'm just, before I even give you any insight into what I think, which is right, what do you think?
Growing up, my favorite was John Elway. I think he's sort of underrated in terms of best quarterbacks ever. I just loved watching him. I was a Broncos fan.
Did you watch the doc? Did you watch the doc?
I haven't yet.
It's so good. You'll like him even more after you watch it.
This is the newborn thing. I don't get much choice in what my wife watches.
It's a good 2 a.m. feeding. Watch it. Yeah.
So I do want to check that out because he was my favorite growing up. I loved him. I was a big Broncos fan for whatever reason. And then as I got a little older, I felt like you had to choose between Peyton and Tom, right?
You did.
And I was a Peyton Manning fan.
Yeah. Which New Orleans gifted you the Mannings. I would like to remind
of course.
you.
That's
Archie
exactly right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I loved watching him play. In fact, you asked me about if I was pushed into football. Like I grew up the biggest Texas fan in the world, but I actually entertained going to Tennessee because of Peyton Manning. Like I just he was my favorite player growing up, and so actually had the honor of going to the Manning camp a couple times over the last few summers, and like getting to hang out with Peyton and Eli, and that was it was dream come true. So anyway, I always thought Peyton was the best, and then 7 or 8 or however many Super Bowl titles, unfortunately, just kind of trumps anything that I could possibly say.
It's wild, right?
Yeah, it's incredible, and also, I got a Super Bowl ring myself because of Tom Brady. So a little bit hard for me to go against that one.
Is that Super Bowl wins, it's a team win, right?
Oh, 100%.
So it's like
I completely
if you're basing
agree.
it like the greatest of all times on stats and the amount of time that they played, and you Rain Man all of that math, it's Drew Brees.
I mean, I think it's a fair argument.
Well,
I'm not going to fight you.
Nice
I'm not going to fight you on it, or maybe I'll just have a drink of my water there.
No, it's fine. Kevin?
My question was going to be about that, like Tom Brady. What was because obviously when you're playing in the quarterback unit, you guys are spending a lot of time together. Was there ever a lesson that Tom pulled you aside and gave you that made the biggest impact on you?
Well, I'll start with this. Number one, there was not a ton of so I actually didn't join the Patriots until like week 16 of that Super Bowl year. I was drafted my rookie year by the Rams. I got cut midway through the season, and then I was actually back home in Lubbock with my wife who went to Tech and worked for Cliff Kingsbury in the football office at the time. So I'm back there, and then the playoffs are about to start rolling around, and the Patriots call and say, hey, we want to sign Garrett to our practice squad. So I go up there week 16.
Basically, what does your wife say in that moment? Is she like,
well, we weren't married at the time,
okay.
but like she knew what she had signed up for.
Oh, cool.
So
okay.
She had to stay and work, but she came up and we spent Christmas and New Year's together. And she signed. I think she probably maybe got a little more than she bargained for if we run through all the teams that I played for. But that's neither here nor there. Yeah. So. Just watching him, all that to say, I was really trying to stay out of the way. In fact, I was trying to stay out of the way so much so that on my first day out on the practice field, I'm going to keep this G-rated, but we go out and we warm up and we're throwing, and then the quarterbacks start their little pre-practice routine, which is like throwing to one of the equipment managers, and Tom gets up there and goes, and then Jimmy Garoppolo, who is the same age as me, gets up there and goes, and then I'm just kind of standing there, and Tom's like, "Hey, get in there. What do you need?" And we'll keep the colorful language out of it. But what do you need? An invitation? Yeah. And so that was my first conversation with him. And I was like, no, sir. And just kind of run in there.
You bow to him, and then you go,
goofy little. I mean, he was 16 years older than me. So what do we? I was this bashful little kid that was just trying to again stay out of the way.
That's amazing.
So mostly what I gathered from him that I was able to take with me for the rest of my career was just watching him, like how he led, what he did on a day-to-day basis, how he prepared, how he was like. It's like Julian Edelman, like if he was maybe having a bad day, like Tom had no problem, ripping him and getting onto him because that was the way Julian responded. But then Rob Gronkowski, big, goofy teddy bear, you got to put your arm around him to get him going. And so he was really good at knowing whose buttons to push and how to push their buttons to get the best out of him. And to me, that was his best quality by far and away, that and his, his ability to prepare. So that was the thing that I truly enjoyed. Like that's what I enjoyed watching the most.
And you watched him in the Super Bowl. What was his demeanor in the Super Bowl? Like even in the
exact same, very incredibly stoic. I think that's what the Patriots did better than anyone, and that's what I get. So again, I'll go back to I was on 9 teams, right? So I saw like 9 different head coaches and how they operated. And what the Patriots did better than anyone, and my guess is Tom, probably this was something that he learned, maybe not something that was innate, but like practice was incredibly hard. Like most places you go, like we go back to the confidence thing. It's like we want to build up your confidence. We want to get you ready for the game. No, the practice squad was like we want to absolutely beat the starters every single day, and the goal was to do that. And so practice was incredibly hard. And there was unscouted defensive looks that like the coaches wanted to see how you're going to prepare for this if they throw something at you that we haven't seen on film. And so when you got into the game, I mean. it truly, I mean, it's not easy, but it truly was easier than what you saw all week on the practice field. And so that's why I think forever they were able to be so much better prepared than other teams, because that's what they did during the course of the week.
We talk about timeliness, right? Like if this episode drops in a week or 4 weeks or whatever, there's still going to be a lot of conversation about this first ballot Hall of Fame disappointment of the century, right? Like I think the world would equate it to like the Luka trade in a lot of ways. Like people are just, and it's the anniversary of that. Like R.I.P. Luka.
Is it really?
Yeah. It is. It's the anniversary of the trade. If you can believe
The
that.
day my basketball heart died.
Yeah. So a piece of you is still removed from your soul.
At least
but
you guys got Cooper flag.
No, I know. And we went last night to the game and saw Cooper score 36. So I'm kind of joking a little bit because, you know, we are back. We're coming back.
I'm a Tar Heels fan, so I'm over it. But whatever. So I just am curious about like, what is your take? Like, it's obviously everybody has their opinions. Everybody seems disappointed. Even somebody who doesn't like playing against them. And like, I'm not a huge fan. Like what we're speaking about is Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft now have been passed up on first ballot Hall of Famers. What do you think about that?
I think it's just flat out wrong and stupid. And I think that the Hall of Fame voters lost a lot of credibility.
Does it discredit them?
Yeah, I think it really does. I mean, it's one thing to say that, we're punishing him for Deflategate and for, Spygate or whatever. But like Jimmy Johnson came out and said right after, it's like everybody did that. Mm-hmm. And that's not to say that it's not, that's not to say that it's not okay. Like but like take those seasons away. I mean, what he won, okay, so he won 6 Super Bowls and, 8 division titles instead. I mean, it's just silly.
It takes something that's objective and makes it subjective.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the fact, take that, and then the fact that there's been some murmurs or rumors that, there was sort of a concerted effort. I mean, it'd be one thing if it's just, it'd be one thing if it was just like, well, like Eli Manning's deal. I think Eli Manning should get in. Yes, I agree that, Super Bowl titles are team awards, but like, that's where the quarterback thing, trumps. Like the quarterback gets too much credit and too much blame. Mm-hmm. But like, he's missed the Hall of Fame and obviously he's, got a squeaky clean image. So there's no kind of, controversy whatsoever. But like you hear about the controversy coming out of, well, he was, some people pushed other voters to say that there shouldn't, that he should, be punished by a year. Like, it's just, it's silly to me. And I think it just totally tarnishes the Hall of Fame's credibility.
You brought up Deflategate, not me. I was going to. So
I was there.
I would like to
when
discuss
it supposedly happened.
Some gates. Okay,
sure.
So let's talk.
The worst of all is Bounty Gate for sure.
Not Bill. Although before we get too far away from that, how do you feel about Bill Belichick dating a toddler? Since you have
well. Honestly, I don't know what to say about it. I really don't.
That's fair. You can drink.
I'm going to keep my. I know I said before we came on, I have opinions about a lot of stuff. I think that whole thing is very strange, and maybe we'll just leave it at that.
Was it the Superman on the beach when he was like flying around his legs?
That was
did
certainly
it for
part
you,
of it. That was certainly part of it, and maybe how much influence she has within the.
Can we recreate that later?
within so much, however much influence. No,
with
y'all can.
Garrett and me.
Y'all can.
Which one is the one that's in the air?
I'm holding you up. Do you think that had anything to do with the votes?
If it does, that's even dumber. Like, what does that have to do with coaching football? There's a lot of weirdos in the Hall of Fame, and
that's fair,
right? So
Ashley's follow-up question: name them all in order.
I'll send you a list later.
No, So Deflategate, like what? You're there. Like, tell us it happened.
Well,
I was
okay. So I was on the team. I was. That was the year I was on the practice squad.
Were the balls squishy?
I was not allowed. That's one of Coach Belichick's rules. The practice squad guys were not allowed on the sideline for home games. So we showed.
Wait, what?
We showed up to work out 4 or 5 hours before the game, and then he did not want anyone that wasn't wearing a uniform on the sideline. So I went back to my hotel and watched the AFC
He's wearing a cutoff
Championship.
sleeve hoodie, and you're not allowed to stand on the sidelines.
I have no comment on that part.
Where did you watch the games then?
From my hotel room.
Were you the drone operator?
I was not there for Spygate. I can't speak there. Okay. I know.
What better way to learn?
In the regular season, they did get us a box so we could sit up in the stands and watch it. Okay. It was not near the coach's box. It was as far, but in the playoffs, they sold those boxes. So no opportunity for us to go. Well, yeah, no opportunity for us to go to the game. Yeah. My guess is all quarterbacks had. I cannot speak personally to this. I started
even though you were there.
No,
Yeah,
I started
cool.
2 games in my career.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know what was done. My guess is all quarterbacks have a certain feel that they like in the footballs.
Sure.
Now, whether or not, the refs measure the balls, say this one feels okay, and then someone, an equipment manager goes back and sticks a needle in it before the game starts to make sure that it feels just right for the quarterback. That I cannot say for sure either way. But like I said, my guess is that all quarterbacks had
little nuances,
specific
right?
ways that they like their footballs.
Spygate.
Way before my time. I was like what was that? Like 2005? Does that sound right?
But you just don't have an opinion on it.
I mean, do you have an opinion on Bountygate? If we're talking about gates,
That was my next gate for
Saints fan.
Yeah. I think we should all be incentivized to do a good job. This is my
I'm gonna make it an analogy. In fact, I actually spent a year coaching at SMU, and one of my jobs was watch the other team's defensive coordinator, and if I can capture their signals, then great, we got their coverage signals for the rest of the game. And if I'm playing baseball and I'm on second base and I can see the catcher's signs and find a way to get that to the guy that's at the plate, I have no problem with that. I think that's part of the game.
What do you think about
When
banging on trash cans?
you start to involve technology or buzzers or
yeah.
film or anything like that, I think it goes beyond what should be allowed in the rules. The Michigan thing, the Connor Stallions deal where they were filming the other. To me, that goes beyond.
Allegedly.
To me, that goes beyond the spirit of the game. So the same thing with what the Astros were doing. So if in fact there were tapes somewhere, which I spent a lot of time in that facility, I never saw anything, then I do think that that's probably wrong. But I don't think it's a reason to keep somebody out of the Hall of Fame.
The theme I'm hearing what you're saying is like kind of just the gamesmanship that happens. It's the same thing like in
100%.
Basketball where, guy will like tug, sorry about that, about rip your
100%.
sleeve off.
It's real leather. It's not real leather. This is faux leather.
It's like, you tug a guy, get him off balance or whatever. Jordan was always doing that.
And if the ref doesn't catch you, it's not a foul.
You push the limits
100%.
within the gamesmanship. But like you said, when you're building a system of technology and you're, straight up cheating, then that feels like it's different.
I mean, that's my very uneducated
reasonable
opinion on it, but that's just kind of where I stand. And where that line is probably still pretty blurry and gray, but that's just kind of...
My perception of this is they still have a chokehold on you and you're not going to say anything negative about them.
Wow. Shots fired.
She said she was a sports reporter, by the way.
Shots are fired.
See, you can see it. She's got that. Okay, I have a slightly alternate path I want to take on this.
Don't forget your question because I want to hear it.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Put me on the hot seat.
Okay, so did you ever play Madden?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you as an NFL, I've always thought about this. You as an NFL quarterback, do you have kind of like a superpower? Where you know everything that's going on?
No. I still play the new college football game, and I throw so many interceptions. It is absolutely infuriating.
Do you play yourself?
From time to time, I did. I'm obviously no longer involved with anywhere remotely on the game. But I did from time to time back when. And I used to be much better at the game. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the problem. I throw so many interceptions now. It is infuriating.
But like all the offense, like the nuances.
Yeah, but the plays are sort of arcade. They're not real. Some of them are, but like the real concepts don't work. The real, like the stuff that works in real football does not really work on Madden, or at least in my experience.
Maybe what's an example?
Maybe I just suck. Like any kind of real concept, like a curl flat is a basic concept that every offense runs in the NFL. And I mean, I either get sacked or throw an interception every time I try to run that.
Wow.
I can't figure out the computer players' whereabouts.
My favorite thing is how when men aren't good at something, they're like, there's definitely something wrong.
It's broken.
I'm not complaining.
It's broken.
I am
Monopoly
outright
is broken.
telling you that I suck.
Monopoly was not developed correctly for me.
I am outright telling you that I suck.
It's the whole thing where like, if something's missing slightly, the remote, your wallet, someone stole it.
Yeah.
Jeff Fox or a joke. Like, we got to default to that. But you've been pretty straightforward on stuff.
I am not here. I am Manti Te'o's girlfriend.
Okay.
You were talking to Kevin.
Uh-huh.
Do you think that maybe Roger Goodell, maybe some of us have a clown shirt, do you think the Saints have been treated unfairly with calls, with Bountygate? Not here. I won't take your e-bike back.
Okay. All right. If if she were here, what would be the point of Roger Goodell? Like, what would be? This is always my argument to Browns fans. What would be the point of Roger Goodell trying to keep the Browns down or keep the Saints down?
To make an example.
But why them?
And a precedent.
Why them? The Saints have a very, very, very committed fan base. If they were to make it to the Super Bowl, if they did call,
which we have in the last 12 years,
if they did call pass interference on Bradley Roby, or I think it was or whoever that was, yeah, I think it was Bradley Roby in the NFC Championship game. You know, the Super Bowl probably does better than it does if the Rams make it. So that's kind of always my thought is, like the Browns. I can get behind it. Okay. I mean, I don't know
that particular play.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it was
the worst that you've ever seen.
I just think it was terrible.
Was it a catch with Dez?
Yeah, it was a catch. But
did you ever play for the Packers?
No, actually, that's one of the only stadiums that I've not been to. Only 2 stadiums that are now in use. I have, or actually 3 stadiums that are now. No, 2 stadiums that are now in use. I haven't been to.
Well, Rams.
No, I've been to the Rams.
Oh.
But I haven't been to Seattle and Green Bay, which are 2 of the coolest.
Oh, and Seattle is like the
noise
and it's iconic.
I've been everywhere but whatever they call Seattle now in Lambeau. So.
I think we should use the remainder of our time to talk about the greatest sport of all time, college football.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there's a lot of Texas fans that watch our show. And I just have so many questions for you.
Okay.
Like, welcome to the SEC.
Yeah.
I would have loved a slam dunk in your face that, like, see, it's harder than what you thought, right? But coming in as a number 1 and then, like, it's whatever. The season spoke a little bit for itself. But you had an opportunity to go to a lot of places, but you jumped on Texas.
Yes.
Why?
I honestly don't know. I am, like
Lost
I
a
said,
bet?
no, I was a huge, like I said, I was a huge Broncos fan. The Broncos got good whenever I started liking football, and I didn't, like Austin doesn't have a team, but Austin did have a college football team, and I just thought it was the coolest thing in the world. My best friend growing up, a guy named Cade McCrary, his dad coached at Texas. I got to be around the facility. Major Applewhite was like my first hero. Ricky Williams, I was at the game when he, set the rushing record and, had his Heisman moment. I just loved Texas and everything about it. And I don't know why. Looking back, frankly, I wish I would have entertained other schools. I wish I would have, gone to Texas Tech and played for Mike Leach. I wish I would have, gone on an official visit to Tennessee and seen what else.
You might have ended up in an equipment closet.
Seen what else is out there. No comment.
Drink.
I loved Mike Leach. Like I really did. I got the chance to get to know him a little bit after, and Texas did. They had a chokehold on me.
Where'd you have offers from?
Well, I honestly didn't have that many offers.
Okay.
It's like you said. I was lucky enough to be a pretty big time recruit. But I committed to Texas when I was 15 years old, and basically every other school just kind of stopped. There was no. It wasn't like just like. You see a lot of big time recruits with 40, 50 offers. I had like 7 or 8 or maybe some, I mean, that number is somewhat vague to me at this point, but like I committed to Texas and I think every other school knew that's where I was going. So they're like, what's the point? Let's
right. Because that's kind of the top of the heap, right?
And you played with Colt McCoy?
For 1 year, I played with Colt. So Colt's 5th year, senior year was my true freshman year. I was his backup.
And he was everything?
He was. I mean,
hear he's like such a good dude.
He's fantastic. He's awesome. He was a great mentor to me. Actually, he and his family live back in Fort Worth now, so I've gotten to reconnect with him a little bit.
Do you have a secret handshake?
No secret handshakes. No. Me and Cam have a secret handshake though.
I bet you
Your
do.
boy.
Okay, so then you go to SMU.
I did.
Talk to me from Texas to SMU. The
yeah.
why.
So the very very short answer of it. And we don't have a ton of time, but I could talk about this for hours. So if you'll have me, maybe I'll come back sometime.
Part 2.
Yeah. But the very long and short of it was I needed a change of scenery. I needed a new beginning, a new start. So,
and you balled out at SMU.
Things did not go as well for me. Like I was the biggest Texas fan in the world, and like my sophomore year, we went 5-7, and I threw as many interceptions as if I was playing the video game. Texas had won 10 games for 15 years, and we won 5. We didn't even make a bowl, and so. I actually went back and won the starting job again going into my junior year. And then I tore my labrum in my shoulder and got benched shortly after that. And so at that point, it was just like, at that point, it was just like, I gotta go somewhere else because, this is not working out for me. And I still had dreams of playing in the NFL. And at that point, I didn't know if those were going to, come to fruition. So, SMU was a very quick decision. Actually, I didn't really entertain other schools at that point either, but I met June Jones. My dad had known June Jones from his time playing, and it just felt like a breath of fresh air. Like going up there to a much smaller school, going to go back to like playing in an offense that felt like what I did in high school. And so I basically just kind of committed on the spot. And then I was able to, long story short, I was able to stay an extra semester at Texas and graduate because they actually had transfer rules back then. You couldn't just go wherever you want and play. And so I graduated from Texas, and then I was able to play 2 years at SMU. And so I am extremely grateful to my time there for them to give me a chance. And, because that's how I made it to the NFL, because I wouldn't have, frankly. I mean, had I stayed at Texas, I would have got surgery. I'd have been buried on the bench. And I have a lot of respect for guys that stay and wait their time. But I had to go somewhere else. And I love Texas. There were some years after that when I left where I wasn't the biggest fan in the world. And honestly, if I had to choose, I'd probably root for SMU if they were playing, just because I am so grateful for what
makes sense.
My time there, and so I'm a big fan of SMU.
SMU is so back. It's so
they
fun.
Are.
What a fun year.
When you get to pay players and it's legal now,
yeah.
That's what we're good at.
Yeah. Did you travel for the draft?
I did not.
You didn't, so you didn't have to pick out the 3-piece JCPenney outfit and match your girlfriend.
I had stopped watching the draft by the time my name was called. So we watched the first round on Thursday night. I had a bunch of friends come over to my house, my agent, and then I watched for a while on Friday, and I was just kind of exhausted by watching the second, third rounds. And, every once in a while my agent would say, hey, keep an eye on
Did they have the camera at your house?
No.
Oh.
No. I for most of the late round picks, unless you were I don't know, like a Manti Te'o, who I don't think was
human
drafted all
interest
that
story
high.
or something.
Yeah, and so there just wasn't necessarily that with me. So by Saturday afternoon, I was a big Jordan Spieth fan. It was just before he won his first Masters, the year before, and he was, I believe, in the lead at the Players Championship. And so I went into my dad's office and was watching the Players Championship when Jeff Fisher from the Rams called me.
That's wild.
Incredible.
So
you'll never forget.
Sprinted back in there to go see my name called, and obviously,
What'd your dad say?
It was not much. He's fairly quiet, but it was a culmination of a lot of stuff. I felt like, again, growing up, football was all I ever wanted, and I was really lucky to get the chance to go to my dream school. I was really lucky to go, start for the Texas Longhorns. And then 2 years later, it felt like I might not play NFL football. I mean, this is literally all I ever wanted. And so to kind of battle back from that, I felt like was it's kind of a culmination. And obviously, there's a whole lot of work ahead of me at that point. But there was just a whole lot of, I think, pride on both, on all sides there.
So
What's
cool.
an example of a moment in your life where you, in your football career and life, where you had to overcome a challenge? I mean, you kind of laid this out a little bit in some ways, but where you had to overcome something,
so
you just were hopeless.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So, I mean, I think that was the biggest one. I mean, that's probably for me, the furthest down that I had been was, just before I went to SMU. I mean, that probably, I had my shoulder surgery, I had, it hurts when you start throwing again. You don't know if your shoulder is going to work right again, come back right. And then, I mean, it's funny now, but I'm sure you're familiar with Ben DiNucci. He posted a picture last training camp of having a beer in the airport, and he's like, nothing like that getting cut for the 7th time airport beer. And that prompted the NFL Network to post a graphic about the quarterbacks who have been released the most since free agency started in 1992. And I'm in second place.
What?
Congratulations.
Yeah, I
No
know.
way.
Badge of honor, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Josh Johnson's ahead of me by double, and he's still playing, which is incredible. But I've been cut 11 times. And so the first one sucks, the second one sucks even worse, and the third one sucks even worse than that. And then after that, you get a little bit numb to it, I guess. I mean, there were times that hurt a lot, but I mean, I'll be totally honest. And again, we're close to running out of time, so you're going to have me back if we want to hear any further about this. But like when I got cut by the Panthers, so I legitimately thought like, all right, Derek Anderson retired. Like I'm going to be the backup here, and I will be like Kylie and I wanted to put down roots in Carolina, and they bring in a new offensive coordinator, and Taylor Heineke beats me out for the job. Like that to me was like. That was like the hardest thing, and I've been cut 5 times before that, but like that one hurt really bad because now it's like, what do you do? And I think the only one that was worse than that was getting cut by the Cowboys, honestly, because we had bought a home here. I felt like, again, the same deal. Like I felt like I'm going to be Dak's backup forever. And then Cooper Rush beat me out and, I wasn't had back on the practice squad. So like, I got to go back to New England. So maybe there is a little bit of.
It would literally be the greatest day of my life to be cut by the Cowboys. Congratulations on that.
But I mean that like those are like and so like I had started a game for the Cowboys the year before. Dak broke his ankle. Andy Dalton got COVID. I started against the Steelers. We lost, but like I was 7 years in and had never started a game. Like I thought again that's another like I thought maybe it was never going to happen, and so. To be able to fight through some of that stuff and have the chance to start a game. And actually, after being cut by the Cowboys, and who knows, maybe this would have happened anyway. But like I'm sitting on the Patriots practice squad, and the Patriots had this will be maybe my last story for the day. The Patriots had a Saturday game, so my week is over. I was giving my daughter a bath, and I come out from the bathroom and I had 20 missed calls. My agent had called me. Ron Rivera from Washington had called me. The offensive coordinator from Washington had called me. And my dad had called me because he knew Ron Rivera from his time at Cal. And I pick up the phone. I'm like, what is going on? And my agent's like, hey, every single Washington quarterback has COVID. Like, they need you down there tonight.
Oh, man.
So they sent Dan Snyder's jet up from D.C., picked me up in Providence, Rhode Island. I got a great picture of myself sitting on the plane with my infant daughter in her little Duna, and we fly down to Washington, and I go practice the next day with the idea that I'm going to start a game for a team that I've been on for 48 hours on Sunday. Now we ended up having. As I get a little older, I'm going to say that's what happened. We ended up having like 40 guys test positive for COVID, so they pushed the game to Tuesday. So I got one extra practice with them. Didn't really know any of my offensive linemen's names by the time the game rolled around, but still. But like that's some of the most unbelievable. Like nobody gets to do that. So like some of the coolest stuff in the world that I got to do. So like overall, like getting to do that for 9 years is just
how do you even begin to learn the playbook in some competent way?
My time in Carolina. The offensive coordinator in Carolina was the offensive coordinator in Washington then. So like it had been 2 years. So that was 2018. This was 2021. So it had been 3 seasons. But like I still remembered most of the terminology, or at least had a baseline. So and the offensive coordinator, to his credit, did a great job like in the headset that night during the game of like, hey, here's the play call, you call it, and then keep, just like little reminders here and there, like don't forget the motion on this one or whatever it may be. So that's how we worked as a team to kind of get through it. And we ended up losing that game 27-17. But I want to say we scored to make it 2017, like midway through the fourth quarter, and like, had a chance. So like, again, obviously, would have loved to have won the game or, both my starts. But like, to me, that's what it's all about. Like, being able to battle back from those things, like some of those things where like I was truly like, people get cut all the time, but like, I had these plans laid out. Like we bought this home in Dallas, and then 4 months later, like I don't even play for the Cowboys anymore. So, that I think that's probably what I'm most proud of from during my time. Because. And frankly, if it weren't for my wife, I probably would have, but I could have given up, numerous times prior to that and just said, I'm done with this, and like, go try and find a real job like I got now.
Yeah.
So
I think I've heard you say one time, and we'll leave it with this. One of the greatest lessons and just comments I've ever heard from you is sometimes you learn so much more from waiting than you do winning. Yeah. And I think that's just, there are so many people that are watching or that are listening that just need hope. It's a very trying time in their life, whether it's an illness or a life circumstance or whatever, loss, whatever it may be. What would you say to the people that are watching today that are just waiting?
I mean, I think, listen, it's easy for me to sit up here and say that, and frankly, I understand that a lot of the struggles that I talked about today, or some of it, are fairly trivial to a lot of folks, depending on what, their circumstances and what they're going through. But I think that's where I, that's just keep pushing. Like that's what I learned. I mean, honestly, it's as simple as that. Just keep pushing, because it's like the old meme of the guy digging for diamonds or whatever, and he stops one step short. Like you never know when that breakthrough is going to happen. For me, I was stuck in Cleveland as frustrated as I had ever been. They brought in a new backup quarterback. Another situation where I thought I was going to be my good friend Baker Mayfield's backup for a long time, and they cut me and bring me back on the practice squad for another guy, and I'm sitting there just like I'm in the same spot I was 6 years ago as a rookie, and nothing's going to happen. And then obviously this sucks for Dak, but he broke his ankle. I got a call that night like, hey, we need to bring in a quarterback. And then 3 weeks later, I'm suiting up to play against the Pittsburgh Steelers in Texas. Like I get to start my first game in AT&T Stadium. So just keep pushing. I mean, it's, again, like I said, I know that that's easy for me to say, because of, some of those things are relatively trivial given all that, but like I still think you can learn lessons from it.
Oh, so good. I don't know a better way to end it than with that. Great. And Garrett, we would love to take you up on your offer to come back for part 2, 3, 4. Let's do it 11 times. That's the magic number, right? Like,
and then we'll cut the episode 11 times.
And then we'll have a just cut beer on air. Like there's so much that we could do with this, but sincerely, like congratulations on the new baby. Yeah. I know your family's growing. We're so happy to celebrate that with you. And thank you for all that you did to champion National Breast Cancer Foundation during the Rollertown Open. It was a gift to watch you struggle playing golf.
I can't wait till next year.
Yes. And again, just thank you for your time. And there's so many people that are going to take so many profound lessons just from you sharing your heart and being open about it. It's not always rainbows and butterflies, right? But you came out better because of it. So we love you. And dare I say, maybe I'm a little bit of a Texas and Panthers fan even right now.
Yeah. You said it. We got it on video.
I know. Uh-huh. Well, hey, until part 2 with Garrett, thank you guys for joining us today on Hope Ignited. Yeah. It was just so good. It's just such a good episode.
What were we kidding around or exaggerating with you guys when we talked about all the clips and things that were in there, like little sound bites and interesting facts about football?
I was all hyped up on Mountain Dew.
You were hyped up. You're like a spider monkey on this.
I've literally never, because I just feel like what we said in the intro, like Garrett was willing to go there. Yeah. And it's not that our guests aren't always so, but what a lot of people don't realize is we say all the time, like, hey, we would love for you to be a guest on our show. We can talk about your bio, but what we take a lot of pride is that on this show, we can pull back the curtain and not just talk about what people can read about you on the internet, but we want to dig deep. We want to tell stories that maybe people haven't heard
Human
before.
Stories.
Yes. Like if you want to ignite hope in somebody, tell them something that maybe they haven't heard before. And you want to talk about Garrett was willing to go there. Let's talk Tom Brady. So Tom Brady is just in the headlines because he's single again, and he's retired again, and he is seen around town and in the Hamptons and at the Super Bowl and at all these events with like Alex Earl, who's at the top of the news right now. But it was cool to ask Garrett, like he is well known and well respected for his demeanor, not just on the field but off the field. And so I wanted to know, what was it like to play for who many regard as the GOAT? Not me personally, but many of you called Tom Brady the GOAT. And it was so cool to hear him talk about, he literally just commanded and demanded respect. And it was not just like how he played. Hearing him talk about, here I am warming up and throwing the ball to a coach. And Tom's like, bro, what are you doing? Like, let's go. Like, it's your turn. And he's like, yes, sir. All but bows to him, like, yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir. Like, I'm ready to go. It's just neat to hear that like Tom Brady is that way. You think that, and as a fan, you hope that he like commands and demands respect in everything that he does. But to hear that from Garrett was pretty cool.
To me, it was, and I've always heard this about Tom. He is the GOAT by every objective standard, whether you like him or not. He demands the respect from his results that he's accomplished. But how do you get that? And that's what is kind of amazing is like, what's the mindset of someone who's a champion? And quite honestly, they're rough around the edges. Like Michael Jordan was the kind of guy, I've heard people say that if he were alive today, he would already gotten canceled before he ever became a true star.
That's fair.
Because basically Jordan was viewed competition as this apocalyptic I'm going to destroy you and wipe your memory from the face of the earth type of thing.
Yeah.
Larry Bird was the same way. Tiger Woods at his peak was very much the same way. I feel like all of these they kind of come into it like, oh, I'm going to give my best. They look at it like, you're trying to stop me from accomplishing my goals. So I'm going to destroy you and salt
or
the
like,
earth.
don't waste my time. Like, that's what I took away from his story with Tom Brady. Is Tom's like, stop wasting my time.
Yeah.
Also, none
Be
of
ready
those
to
people
go.
that you just mentioned have a perfectly chiseled jawline the way that Tom does. So
That guy stays in shape, man. He's about my age, and he could run circles
I'll
around
tell
me,
you
that's
what,
for sure.
but the gates, we have to talk about the gates.
Yeah.
That was so fun to dive into that with him.
Yeah. I thought that was a great answer about just the gamesmanship that happens. And I think that really encapsulates like how we all feel about it.
Yeah.
That a reasonable amount of, you find what the line, they do this in NASCAR.
Yeah.
Your NASCAR
Thank
queen.
you for bringing it back to something that I can relate.
Well, anyway,
so Ashley NASCAR.
You know how they do that? They're going to find what is the regulation. Oh, we can have this certain tire compound. They're going to push it to the edge of the
Flirting with the
envelope.
line. Flirting
Sometimes
with
you
that
go too
line.
far, you get penalized. Or
Yeah.
my bad, step back or whatever. I mean, that kind of a thing. I think you see that obviously they're going to have the way they like it. They're going to push that edge. And I thought that was a fair answer.
I thought he did a great job, and it wasn't even like a PR move, but I thought it was more of like a loyalty play where he was like, look, I'm not going to say this, but I'm also not going to say that. Like, I think it was fun to hear, from somebody who literally was on the roster when all that was going down, but also interesting the perspective of like, he literally was there and still can't speak definitively about what did or did not happen. And I don't think that's a cover up. I genuinely think people would pump the balls to the air quality that they prefer.
Yeah.
And, I also respect, to your point, that he says everybody cheats. Everybody bends the rules. It's just who gets caught.
Well, and they're not going to even say cheating per se. They're going to say
true.
everyone pushes it to
flirt with the line.
Yeah, you're going to push it up to that line. To me, my favorite moment in that interview was him talking about he's given his daughter a bath. You know how that is. There's nothing more just kind of like doing parenting things, cleaning up, spit up on your shoulder, or you're doing formula or something 2 a.m. or nursing or whatever, right? And like that you just kind of feel like the world's moving on, forgetting about you. Meanwhile, he comes back out, his phone is smoking from all the activity, and it's Washington wants him to come jump in and be ready to go.
So
a whole
cool.
new team. Guess what? And so that story meant so much to me because the reason why he was selected for that moment was in part because of all the failures that he had encountered along the way, like being cut so many times, being a part of all these different systems proved that he was the kind of guy who could jump right in, figure it out. He had a lot of experience. He had been a part of that football system before with Ron Rivera. And the fact that he was ready to go, and in that moment, he said yes. And he even looked at those being cut in all those different times as they hurt, but it was like, I'm grateful that I get to do this for a living. I mean, wow. Just every chance I'm grateful. And I think he brought that gratitude to every team. And frankly, people want to work with people who they know have that kind of a good attitude, a resilient attitude. Because when you're doing something as difficult as football, then you'd better have a fortitude unlike a common person.
Couldn't agree more. It was such a fun episode. Garrett is just, what an honor to know him and to be friends with him and to invite him to talk about it. You want to talk about inspiring hope. Being cut that many times and having the head on his shoulders that he does and being able to use his platform again to do good. Like, it was just such a fun episode. And what it really reminded us, to your point, like, you transform your mind. You can see yourself giving the bath, seeing your phone with all the missed calls, getting on the plane, going to save the day. It reminded us that we have encountered some really unique live sporting events or moments or memories that were just really special to us. And we thought it might be fun just to tell you guys a little bit about meaningful live sports moments. Do you want to go first?
I'd love to. To me, I can't possibly not choose this one for the first one. I'm a big Dallas Mavericks fan. We've dedicated some airspace towards hating on Nico, the former GM that traded away Luka. Rest in peace, Luka. as we knew you.
Yeah.
In
a Mavs jersey. Well, there's also tidbits in the news that investors are coming to Mark about potentially buying the team back.
Yep.
I can't. It could happen.
We might not only get Mark Cuban back as GM, who I thought he was a great GM, but also maybe Luka comes back one day.
Well,
regardless. Okay. So for me, I can't not think about 2011. That's when the Dallas Mavericks won their first championship and only championship so far. And my brother Brent and I, Brent's passed away, so this has even more meaning for me. We went to the 2011. It was on May 17, 2011. It was the first game of the Western Conference Finals against the Thunder, and that had Westbrook and Durant and all them. They were phenomenal.
That was such a good squad.
Yeah. And Dirk had arguably his greatest playoff game ever. He had 48 points.
Unreal.
And the ending was amazing. Dirk, in particular, one thing that it might still be a record. He was 24 of 24 from the free throw line.
Good grief.
24 in a row under pressure. And so Brent and I were there. We watched it. I have a video. I'm trying to find this so we can put the asset up, but for you guys to see. But the feeling the crowd had at the end of the game, like when they won and wrapped it all up, was just. No one was a stranger.
Yeah.
You could be in this room with 20,000 people and you don't have anything else in common but the Mavericks, but we were hugging each other, strangers, and it was felt like you're part of something special. So to me, that's what sports does, is it can kind of lower the personal barriers we put up with strangers and other people.
It's a unifier. Yeah.
And it brings us all together to a common cause. It's like a little battle that happens that's simulated and we all kind of choose our side. And I think about my brother and hugging him and how great that felt. So that's what sports does for me. What about you?
I would like to imagine that he is wearing a Luka Mavs jersey in heaven right now, listening to us tell the story. Yeah, bring it back, Brent.
Happen, Brent.
Pull some strings. Make some miracles happen. And Mark, I'd love to see Cuban back, to your point. Okay, so mine, and I may have told this story before, but it's just so meaningful to me. So 10 long years ago, which means that this is the year of 40 for me, which is another story for another time. I'll start wearing all black here soon. But on my 30th birthday, this was, of course, pre-kids, when we had, what we thought was a busy life then. And we decided to travel for my 30th, and we wanted to go to wine country. And so we went to Napa, which to date is still one of my very favorite trips that I've ever taken. It was the perfect time of year. It was October. It was just beautiful there. And in order to get this other couple that came with us on this trip to extend the trip into San Fran, because they're not big sports nuts like Justin and I are, we had to do the Napa part first, which was beautiful. It was great. So then we leave Napa, we drive to San Fran, which is about an hour and a half away in traffic. And I had a friend here in Dallas that said, if you're really going to go to the 49ers, it was 49ers Saints, if you're really going to go to the 49ers game, I think I could maybe get you down on the field. And I was like, there is no way I'm going to be this close to Drew Brees. There's no way it's possible. This was like Jimmy Graham. I mean, it was just such a fun, still Cam Jordan, God love him, he's still there. But Sean Payton, of course, was our coach. And it was a fun era. We had just won the Super Bowl, unlike the Cowboys. It was just a fun time. And we'll leave Bounty Gate out of it. But it was a really, really fun time. And so we get to Will Call, and all we know are that we have tickets that are probably going to be nosebleeds, but that, there was a chance that our tickets could be upgraded. And so we go to Will Call, and the lady says, well, show me your ID. And I showed my ID, and my friends are already annoyed because they're not huge sports fans, but they're like, let's go get in the long Will Call line. Well, this lady hears my name and she goes, Ashley, you're Ashley Miller. This is Ashley Miller. This is Ashley Miller. The one, who has the tickets? Who has the tickets? And I'm like, okay, there's going to be a candle on it. Did they do something embarrassing? Whatever. So they hand me the envelope with the tickets for the game, and it says, happy birthday, Ashley. Enjoy your tickets and sideline passes. Love, Sean Payton. The coach of the Saints was legitimately friends with my friend here.
Wow.
Heard it was my birthday. gets us insane seats for the game at Levi's Stadium, which would be, they just had the Super Bowl there. You guys know how beautiful, like if this, if it's chosen for a Super Bowl location, you know that it's a beautiful stadium. But so we go in, we have insane seats. We go down on the sideline. I'm like from me to you with Drew Brees, the true GOAT of the NFL.
Did you say anything to him?
Like there's no, like, you know me, there was no, I would eventually have the chance to meet Drew years later. But like, I had no chill. But it was the best birthday. Like it was just the best trip. And I will just never forget. Like it was underestimating somebody who was like, I can get you the hookup. But then also just that. And then, you know, of course I'm like, oh my gosh. And I go to show my friends and they're like, who's Sean Payton? And I'm like, dear God, you don't understand this moment right now. But I still have that envelope somewhere. I'll have to find it so that we can embed it in right now and just show you guys, like I screenshot it.
And then you met Sean later, which is not too long ago.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And the funny thing about this, I just want to say this before the story ends, is that it was very clear that like Sean himself did not write the note, but that it was made clear to the person.
Eyes.
Well, worse. So the person at will call was told to write the note exactly how it was written, and they spelled Sean Payton wrong. And so like I'm gonna like be buried with
really
this
funny.
right one day, like have a time capsule and or gonna have like a shadow box frame for it, but it's spelled incorrectly.
Yeah.
So it sits like in a shoebox somewhere in my home.
Look, great,
where, like,
but it's in your heart and your mind.
Yeah.
As all great sports moments are.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear if you have had, like, what is your favorite sports moment?
Yeah.
You guys can comment on that. We love to talk about that. I mean, whether it was an event that you were at or something you saw. I mean, certainly it's hard to remember getting more excited about hardly anything in life than a big sport. I mean, some of those, like I said, where you're just running around for days. Like after the Mavericks won in 2011, it's like everyone in town was just on their best behavior.
You're forever changed. Hey, the other thing too is if you have a question for Garrett, maybe there was something that we talked to him about today. He would love to answer your questions. I know that not everybody has the opportunity to press him hard on some of life's greatest sporting events.
He'll tell you the truth.
Yes, he definitely will. So feel free to tag Garrett and he will be happy to answer any of your questions. But thank you guys for indulging us in what we think was one of our favorite episodes. We love talking about sports, and it certainly was fun to have somebody like Garrett at the table where he could not only go behind the scenes of things that were so meaningful to us all as sports fans, but also just be a true testament to the resilience behind what a journey. I mean, he just is one for one. We really enjoyed it.
Thank you for your likes and your subscription to this channel so we can spread the word. Share some clips, like let some of your friends jump on in. We have a great time on Hope Ignited. We are all about finding inspirational people, asking them the kind of questions you'd want to ask. You know, some funny ones, some poignant ones. But we love this kind of a show today, and we always enjoy any kind of dialogue or interaction that we have with fans of the show. So please, by all means, reach out to us with some comments and questions. So,
we love you guys, and we will see you on our next episode
See you soon.
of Hope Ignited.